Hey guys, Octane Restorations here, and we are back with the 1996 Goldwing GL1500 Special Edition. Let's get right into it. So today we're going to be working on the fuel pump. I was getting a no fuel to the carburetor, so I diagnosed it as a fuel pump, and as you can see, it is in poor shape. The fuel lines are still in good shape, though. We're going to be able to reuse those. Obviously kidding. That right there is a breather hose. So inside your fuel tank, you do have a breather hose. We are actually going to be replacing this with a fuel pump from a carbureted Honda Accord. If you look up Goldwing GL1500 fuel pump on eBay, these will pop up, and I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. You have to be sure to get the carbureted version because this fuel pump pumps from 1 to 4 psi. If you get the fuel injected version, it'll pump from 60 to 90 psi. So that one is not compatible with these Goldwings. These are carbureted engines, so you got to get the one that's for the carbureted engines. But as you can see, they're kind of similar in size. The output is pretty much identical for this. This is a tried and proven method. If you look at all the old forums, the old Goldwing forums, even some of the Facebook groups, this is a common thing to do whenever these fuel pumps go bad, because these fuel pumps cost $200, $300 to replace. It also comes with a little diagram just showing the fuel pump. Pretty handy little diagram. But on this, you will have to cut the fuel pump wires that are on there. You're going to have to splice little terminal connections, and you're going to have to put those there. But all in all, everything does fit really well. So the clamp that holds the fuel pump to the metal rail, it'll actually fit this fuel pump nearly perfect. So all in all, this fuel pump comes with a filter on it. So you do have a fuel pump filter for it. It's a little bag that goes over it. In my opinion, it's better than these little screens on the original OEM filter. But that's pretty much it. I'm going to walk you through the whole process today. It's fairly easy. Anyone can do this. And these fuel pumps run about $20. So $20 versus, you know, $200 to $300. It's a no-brainer in my book every day. Let's get to it. All we did was disconnect some of the fuel lines, and there's a little Phillips that holds the clamp in. These are what the fuel lines look like. As you can see, they're perfect. We can reuse those. Obviously kidding. These are in really rough shape. No wonder I wasn't getting any gas to it. You do have to steal the rubber boot from the other pump to put on the new one. Right now I'm just snipping the wires, getting them the right length, and putting on those terminal connectors. We got the new fuel pump in. This is what it'll look like. I haven't put the fuel line on. It's 5/16 fuel line. Normally I like to make that as long as I can right there so you don't have any sharp bends or kinks. I'll show you at the end how it's supposed to look, but I don't have any right now, so I'm gonna have to run to the store to get some. But this is what it's supposed to look like. On the fuel pump, it'll show positive and negative terminals. You know, the negative goes to the ground right there, and the positive goes to the blue wire. And if you trace them up, you can actually trace them to the top plate of this fuel pump where the actual motorcycle connects. But that's pretty much how you wire it. It's fairly simple. I believe it's a 6.5 millimeter socket or wrench, or maybe a 6 millimeter. It's really small and really weird. I didn't have the wrench, but I had the socket, and it barely fit on there. That's what I was talking about earlier, how you can trace the wires up to where the bike connects to them. All in all, like I was saying, fairly simple process. We got our fuel filters in. Had to get those off eBay. They're actually pretty cheap, not bad. And we also got the fuel line in. We just went to O'Reilly's. In the back, they have big spools of it, and you just get them to cut you a foot by a time. So I just got a few feet of it. Let's get to it. I'm just going to take it off real quick and actually hook it up to some fuel line, and we're going to submerge it into a bucket of gasoline just so I can show you the pressure it puts out, the fuel output, a few other things like that in case you have any doubts. We got to plumb it up anyways with the fuel line, so while it's off, you know, might as well. Just going to jump it using a 12-volt battery and some mini jumper cables. First time I actually replaced it with one of these, I didn't know that there were the positive and negative terminal connections that you can actually see right there. So you know, there's the little minus, that's where the negative wire goes, and then on the right hand side there's the positive, and that's where the blue wire goes. I didn't know that, but now you know it, so no excuse. Next, I'm just going to show you by using these little mini jumper cables, connecting the positive and the negative to a positive and negative 12-volt battery that has a proper charge. Be careful if you're going to imitate this, because again, this is old gasoline. It does create gasoline vapors, and shorting it can cause sparks and safety stuff. Just be careful whenever you do it, and remember, a spark will set this gasoline off. So getting it all set up, I sunk the bottom part of the sump pump in the gasoline, and it's connected, so now I'm just going to connect it to the terminal. And there you go. That's a working pump right there. I don't know if you can see it reflecting off of the bucket, but it is pumping, it is working, pushing it through the hose, no problem. There you go, there's a better view of it. As you can see, it's not a crazy pressure. It does have good volume though. Again, this is pretty typical of what the OEM pump would have. A lot of the specs are really close. This is a tried and true method. This wasn't my idea. I wish I could claim it, but this has been in the forums for quite some time now. But that's just the pressure and the flow. It is pretty comparable to the OEM pump. I wish I had an OEM pump that was working and I'd show that side by side, but I don't. So let's put it back together. So there it is, all finished, all put back together. There's our negative connection right there. And on the other side we have our positive connection. Again, you can look at those plastic pieces to see which one is which. On these GL1500s, the blue wire is the positive and the black is the negative if you're connecting it to the fuel pump. I just use a terminal connection kit and spliced it in. I haven't had any problem with these failing. Some people solder them, but I've never had a problem with these failing. I'm sure a solder would last longer. And again, you have to put that rubber sleeve on it for it to properly grasp and clamp down properly. If you can see, there's no sharp turns, no kinks, anything in that fuel line. You want the fuel line to take the shape of the bracket on this fuel pump, so that way it flows smooth, doesn't kink off, anything like that. Again, we're not connecting a breather hose back up. You don't need the breather hose in this configuration. So you can either take that out of the tank or just leave it. Now for the time we've all been waiting for, actually putting it back in the motorcycle. Any of my medical people on here, it's kind of like putting in an OPA. Just gotta imagine the tank is the mouth. Feels like it's going in backwards, but this is the right way. Just line it up on the holes. Connect that fuel line. And then just connect your electrical connections. That's all there is to it. We just got the fuel filter changed. As you saw, it was a fairly easy process if you have all the stuff off. One word of advice, take a picture of the top of your fuel pump where all the connections go before you decide to take it off. All of the different wires and connections. It'll just make the reassembly process way easier. That's pretty much all I've got for today. Thank you all for watching the video. This is part 4 of the GL1500 series. Try to put content out pretty often, and it really does help if you like and subscribe. Thank you again for watching. Leave a comment, and see you on the next one.